From the immediate updates on your phone to vast cloud computing, the internet feels intangible. Yet, beneath the waves, a physical network of fiber optic cables quietly forms its true backbone. These aren't satellites, they are robust, deep-sea conduits carrying nearly all global data traffic. This investigation delves into who truly controls this critical infrastructure, examining how a dramatic shift in ownership towards a handful of tech giants is reshaping geopolitics, economics, and national security worldwide. We explore the unseen battle for digital dominance. These aren't ordinary wires. Submarine fiber optic cables, often no thicker than a garden hose, contain strands of glass, each thinner than a human hair, transmitting data as pulses of light. Encased in multiple layers of protective materials, from polyethylene to steel wires and petroleum jelly, they are engineered to withstand immense deep-sea pressures, seismic activity, and even shark bites. They are the arteries of the global economy, connecting continents and enabling instantaneous communication across vast oceanic distances. The sheer scale of this infrastructure is staggering. According to industry reports, there are currently over 1.3 million kilometers of active submarine fiber optic cables crisscrossing the world's oceans. These cables are organized into more than 550 distinct systems, each a complex project involving engineering, finance, and international cooperation. This vast network is the physical manifestation of our interconnected world, silently powering everything from financial transactions to social media updates, day in and day out, at near light speed. Historically, the construction and ownership of submarine cables were primarily the domain of sovereign states and national telecommunications carriers. These were often joint ventures, focused on connecting national grids. However, this landscape has drastically changed. Over the past decade, a new breed of private investors, predominantly global tech giants, has taken center stage. Data indicates that these private companies now own an astonishing 66% of all new subsea cable capacity, marking a profound shift in who controls the internet's physical backbone. Why are Google, Meta, and Amazon pouring billions into this deep-sea infrastructure? The motivation is multifaceted. First, it's about control. Owning the cables allows them to dictate bandwidth, latency, and routing for their massive cloud services and content delivery networks. Second, it's about cost reduction. By building their own infrastructure, these companies significantly reduce their reliance on third-party bandwidth providers, slashing operational expenses. Finally, it ensures resilience and redundancy for their colossal global data center networks. Google, through its parent company Alphabet, has emerged as a particularly aggressive investor in undersea cable infrastructure. Since 2010, the company has reportedly invested over $47 billion in global infrastructure, a significant portion of which is dedicated to subsea cables. This strategy supports Google's expansive portfolio, including Google Cloud, YouTube, and its ubiquitous search services. By owning the physical network, Google aims to provide unparalleled speed and reliability to its billions of users and enterprise clients worldwide. Google's direct investments include significant projects like the Grace Hopper cable, which spans from the United States to the United Kingdom and Spain, named after the pioneering computer scientist. Another critical Google-owned system is the Echo cable, connecting the United States to Indonesia and Singapore, serving the rapidly expanding markets of Southeast Asia. These cables are not just passive conduits, they are active strategic assets, meticulously placed to optimize Google's global data flow and secure its competitive edge in key regions. Meta, formerly Facebook, is another formidable player in the subsea cable race. The company is reportedly involved in over 16 cable projects, demonstrating its commitment to global connectivity, particularly for its social media platforms and metaverse ambitions. A flagship project is the 2 Africa cable, the largest subsea cable system in the world. Spanning approximately 45,000 kilometers, it encircles the entire continent of Africa, connecting Europe and Asia, aiming to bring internet access to underserved populations and bolster Meta's reach. While Amazon might be less vocal about its direct cable ownership compared to Google or Meta, its investments in subsea infrastructure are equally substantial and strategic, primarily supporting its Amazon Web Services, or AWS, cloud platform. AWS is the world's leading cloud provider, requiring immense, reliable, and low-latency global connectivity. Although specific investment figures for Amazon's cable projects are not publicly detailed in the same way, industry analysts confirm their robust engagement, directly linking their global data centers via owned fiber assets to maintain market dominance. The rapid accumulation of subsea cable assets by a few powerful tech companies raises critical questions about market monopolization. When a small number of entities control such a significant portion of the Internet's physical infrastructure, it can create barriers for smaller players, limit competition, and potentially lead to increased costs for Internet service providers and, ultimately, consumers. This shift from diverse telecom ownership to a concentrated tech oligopoly represents a fundamental change in the Internet's foundational economics. Beyond economics, the ownership and routing of these cables have profound geopolitical implications. Many crucial cable routes traverse contested maritime territories, such as the South China Sea, where sovereign claims are hotly disputed by nations like China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. This makes them potential flashpoints in international relations. The United States, Russia, and China all have significant strategic interests in these undersea networks, viewing them not just as economic assets but as vital components of national power and influence. The physical vulnerability of these cables poses tangible national security risks. Governments and intelligence agencies worldwide have expressed concerns about potential sabotage and espionage. Reports from NATO and other defense bodies have highlighted the increased activity of Russian research vessels operating suspiciously near critical cable lines in the Atlantic, raising alarms about potential reconnaissance or even disruption capabilities. Similarly, the potential for state-sponsored entities to tap into these data conduits for intelligence gathering is a persistent concern. The global network, despite its vastness, has critical choke points where multiple cables converge, creating single points of failure. Key examples include the Straits of Malacca, a narrow shipping lane between Malaysia and Indonesia, the Suez Canal and Red Sea corridor connecting Europe and Asia, and the Bashi Channel, a strategic waterway near Taiwan. A disruption at any of these locations can have catastrophic regional, and even global, impacts on Internet connectivity, as evidenced by past incidents. These choke points are geopolitical hotspots. The devastating impact of a single cable disruption was starkly illustrated by the Tonga volcanic eruption in January 2022. The Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano's eruption severed the nation's sole fiber-optic cable, plunging the entire island nation into a near-total internet and telephone blackout. For weeks, Tonga remained largely cut off from the rest of the world, highlighting the extreme vulnerability of regions reliant on limited connectivity. It served as a potent, real-world case study of the catastrophic potential of infrastructure failure. Governments are keenly aware of these vulnerabilities and are responding with heightened scrutiny. In the United States, for instance, the executive branch's Team Telecom Committee rigorously reviews all new subsea cable landing rights to assess potential national security risks, particularly concerning foreign ownership or routing. Meanwhile, nations like China employ their own robust controls, epitomized by the Great Firewall, which regulates Internet traffic and content, illustrating a more direct state control over data flow, often with national security as a stated justification. The race to lay more cables continues, driven by ever-increasing data demand and the strategic imperative of tech giants and nations alike. Future cables are being designed for deeper waters and with enhanced protection, increasing redundancy and resilience. Innovations in marine engineering aim to mitigate risks from natural disasters and human intervention. The next wave of infrastructure development will likely push into even more challenging environments, including the Arctic, opening new, potentially shorter, but also more geopolitically sensitive routes. The rapid expansion of Internet infrastructure by tech giants brings undeniable benefits: increased connectivity, lower operational costs for large-scale digital services, and faster data transfer for billions. Yet, this progress comes with inherent perils. The concentration of control in a few private hands raises questions about censorship, data access, and the potential for a few corporations to wield disproportionate power over global information flows. Policymakers face the complex challenge of fostering innovation while safeguarding national interests and ensuring an open, resilient Internet. The shift in Internet infrastructure ownership reveals a critical underlying truth: control over the physical network translates directly into control over digital services and, by extension, information. For smaller telecom providers or emerging tech companies, the rising monopolization by giants like Google, Meta, and Amazon could lead to higher wholesale bandwidth costs, stifling innovation and competition. The potential for these powerful entities to prioritize their own services or even influence data routing based on their corporate interests is a macroeconomic concern that could reshape the global digital landscape. Addressing the complex challenges posed by concentrated subsea cable ownership demands greater transparency and robust accountability mechanisms. Understanding who owns, operates, and can access these critical arteries of the Internet is paramount for national security and open competition. International cooperation, alongside national regulatory frameworks, will be essential to ensure that the physical Internet remains resilient, secure, and accessible to all, rather than becoming a tool primarily serving the strategic interests of a select few corporations or states. Ultimately, the question of who truly controls the Internet boils down to who controls its physical infrastructure. As we've explored, the unseen network of undersea fiber optic cables has become a new frontier for geopolitical competition and corporate dominance. The shift from sovereign ownership to concentrated control by tech giants like Google, Meta, and Amazon presents both unprecedented connectivity and profound national security and economic risks. The battle for the Internet's future isn't just fought in data centers or in the cloud, it's unfolding thousands of meters beneath the ocean's surface.